So you had mentioned about the vaping, and I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with is nicotine. But then is what's really cool is after that one step of obedience, it seemed like God started producing breakthrough in your life. Let me ask you this. Do you think God would have been able to do those breakthroughs? And you can add to it your own commentary, your own thoughts, but do you think God would have been able to produce those breakthroughs in even Lindsay's life and the rest of your family's life if you had not been obedient to that one step whenever God was telling you to throw it out the window?
Probably not the way that He did. Yeah. Eventually, obedience has to happen because, He wants us to be obedient so He can open the door for us, right, for Him to deliver us or heal us. Because it's kind of like the spiritual law thing going in. So, through our obedience, He really can work. It's not that, He couldn't, but I think He used that to really open up the door to everything else He was trying to do in my life. Yeah. And at the time, I didn't even know, what obedience was. Right. I just knew that I needed to throw the vape out the window, so yeah. I believe that He could have, but it would have been in a different way. It would have been at a different time, and it probably would have been, I don't want to say harder for me, but it wouldn't have been, it might not have been in an instant. It might have had to been some work put in, Yeah. But yeah, I believe He could have, but it wouldn't have been maybe not the same way. He would have had to work some other thing out, Right. But obedience always has to be in play, though. He really won't work with you if you're not being obedient, So good. But yeah.
Awesome. I love that. So with obedience to the Lord and with you dabbling into the occult and things like that, talk about kind of what disobedience causes and what are the results of that, seeing both sides of it.
So, after He delivered me from all of that, I went through a whole bunch of deliverance, and from me opening doors from the things I did in my past, all the witchcraft, it was a lot, but I ended up, it's like the devil would tempt me when I'm tired. It's I'm not really trying to, I'll fall into it. I honestly would. I would fall into it. So, I fell back. I drank once or twice, maybe 3 times. I don't remember how many. I ended up drinking again. And through my disobedience, I opened up a door for the devil to come back into my life. And he came back. He came back pretty hard. The spiritual implications, I say, that's what you want to call them, implications that happened, it was pretty drastic in my life because, man, I stopped going to church for a minute, and when I came back, I remember praying one morning, we was praying the class before church, and I just heard deliverance today, but in my mind, I'd already drank and all this, and I really wasn't in the Bible like that. I kind of backslid pretty good. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, cool, I'm going to go up to the altar and I'm going to get deliverance. No. As soon as I walked into that sanctuary, it pretty much started. And I really didn't know what it meant to have a fear for the Lord until that day, because whenever this started, it was kind of I don't know if I was feeling whatever that's, feeling what the spirits feel whenever they come and see Jesus, but the sheer terror that I was feeling, and in the book of Job, whenever it said that his bones were shaking, my bones were literally, I was shaking, and obviously the deliverance went through. This was right before service, but then after service I couldn't much even talk, but all I could do is worship. I'm just sitting there crying and worshiping. But even after that, He had His grace and His mercy on me. Yeah. But the damage that had been done after that He had to, I don't even know how to, it was rough, to say the least. It was rough. being disobedient and opening up doors, he doesn't say not to do it as to like be like, well, these are the rules and you're gonna follow them. It's like to help you, because if you go back to doing that, it's gonna be so much worse than it was before. That it like, I mean, the devil's here to steal, kill, and destroy. And he's trying to take you out. So I'd say like the mentally and spiritual aspects of going back and doing that was absolutely like horrifying. I'd say horrifying. And it took some time to really, I'd say, shake it off. And the Lord had to really, like work with me. He really led me, guided me, and He showed me a lot more through that. But I never go back and do that. But yeah, the disobedience would really, it's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
But
And know this, I'm not beating you up at all by asking you these questions, but you've walked through this. I want some other men I want all of us to gain some tools going forward. So with that now, you've seen the obedience to God and what that produced. You saw the disobedience and what that produced. What safeguards do you have up in your life now that you just say, I'm not messing with that at all? What are some of those things that basically are no-go zones for you?
so, well, I shared that one disobedience. There was one time, it was more than one time. So I was starting to work out. I built a gym in my garage, and not thinking about it, I just played like, I grew up listening to like 90s rock music, right? And I thought, it's fine, right? I'm just working out, listening to music. But what I ended up noticing, while I was listening to it, the things they were saying, like a lot of them just straight up just talk crap about God, like in the song, and they're singing it, and we're singing it. I was like, okay. Now I found myself skipping through a lot of songs, but even with me doing that, I've noticed I feel like I can't connect with God the way I used to. And I remember calling you, like, hey, I don't feel Him anymore. And I remember you saying, like, you can't go by feelings. And I was like, I don't know how to explain it, but there's something off. But then I found myself going further into where I didn't even want to listen to worship music anymore. Like, it was just straight up going back to this like rock music, and it kind of pulled me away from God. I knew something was pulling me away from God, but I didn't know exactly what it was. And well, the Lord, that music pulled me away from God, but then the Lord used music to pull me out of that and pull me closer to Him, closer than I was before. But through that experience, I safeguard myself from listening to music that's not of God, like world music. Well, I guess you call it worldly music, right? Worldly music. Not too long after I got saved, I saw there's a lot of, what do you call it, debauchery up in the TV shows and the movies. Man, there's a lot of witchcraft going on these. So the Lord revealed it to me, so I safeguard myself on watching a lot of these movies, a lot of these TV shows. You can't really turn a TV show on without seeing like sex or something like that just going on, and just some weird stuff. So I safeguard myself from that. A lot of social media. There's a lot of weird stuff up on social media now that is just like, what? What the heck? Social media. I kind of guard myself on who I put myself around. And yeah, what I allow to come into my ears, what I allow to see, allow myself to see, I just safeguard that because I feel like it really influences you spiritually, and those are a few that I can think of at this moment.
Yeah, definitely. So you're on the road a lot. Like you said, a lot of times, don't think He doesn't do anything in His job. He does. There's just times that, you're waiting on things to be completed so that you can do your job. So what do you fill yourself with during the day?
So, I usually come in early before the contractors get there, and I'll pray, and then I'll read the Bible for a good amount of time, and then it's still a lot of YouTube. Yeah. But now it's like a lot of YouTube of like learning more about God, trying to get him to know him at a deeper level. Because I know when I get home, the kids are running around crazy, and there's not going to be too much of me being able to do that. So whenever in the truck, that's what I'm doing, or I'm out with the contractors and talking with them, and you know, obviously doing what the Lord tells me to do there.
So cool. In case you don't know, kids don't care about your spiritual walk, so you got to find a way to make it work. Man, Cody, you're delivering some good stuff. So let's kind of fast forward just a little bit to you and Lindsay, because this is something that we see a lot in our culture today. We're living together. We got kids together. We might as well be married. Sounds good. Looks good. Yeah, we're married. No, we're not. But the cool thing was, you didn't run past that red light. Because I remember the day that I think the journey really began with y'all. See, Cody and Lindsay were trying to be good parents. They were in here in a parenting class. Well, right after that, Dave and Dev Kovic were starting the marriage class. And they're like, we're not married yet. Well, you need to be in this class. So what really switched around in your heart to where you said, you know what, we need to go ahead and get married? How did all that play out?
It's kind of explicit. Like whenever we do the deed, I'd get convicted every single time. I'd get convicted every single time, and I was like, man, I'll tell my wife, like, something's not right. Like, I don't feel right about this. And so, man, I forgot exactly where. I think I was reading the Bible, and it was saying like fornicators won't get into heaven, and then I was like, I think we're fornicating. And she's like, you know, she's like, no, like we're basically married. Like we're common law. I'm like, no, like I'm pretty sure, no, we're not. I think that was a Saturday, and the next day I believe we came up to Pastor Ronnie, and I told Pastor Ronnie, he's like, hey, look, like we're living in sin. This ain't right. Like I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. And I think a week later we got married. You know? That's how he showed me. I mean, it was a lot. He led me and guided me. I'd say. He knows us all best, right? And the best way he could show me, you know? And, yeah.
Never heard it put like that, but that is great, man. I'm so glad that y'all went on and got married. Okay, so you got married. That's all going good. In the beginning of your testimony, towards the first part of it, you shared about being on the medicine and being so secluded and just so, I can't talk to anybody, I don't fit in. Talk about where your life is now and sharing Jesus with people. And if you can, share the story about the statues. That's just awesome. It'll encourage a lot of people. But you don't have to share just that one.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I'd say, I think it was at the age of 5, you know, because I was diagnosed with ADHD. And what I believe is I was just a little kid, right? You know, little kids want to jump around and play, especially little boys. So they put me on this Ritalin, and it just totally made me into a zombie. I was like, always nervous all the time, always had sweaty palms. I mean, it's like dope. You're giving kids dope, right? So that became part of my personality. And I'd say, like, whenever I did meth, they kind of reversed it, and I felt like whenever I first did meth, I felt like I was free, I'm out talking and all this, but it turned the opposite not before long. But I ended up getting filled with like this shame, and I wasn't able to even look at people in the eye. That became who my personality was. I was just more reserved, and I just it's kind of like I was tweaking all the time, even though I wasn't. I just you know, and man, he led me and got me. Obviously, he showed me a lot through YouTube, because I was on YouTube a lot in my truck, and he showed me what the spirit of shame was. He showed me this nervousness. He showed me all of the things I was dealing with. And as he showed me, he set me free from them. And he made me, I would not be out here talking. I was nervous at first. I'm not going to lie, but I would not be here talking right now if, he wouldn't have set me free from this shame and this nervousness and just, it's more than being an introvert. It's just feeling like I don't fit in anywhere. When I first came to church, I was still I don't think I fit fit in with this church. But I ain't never been to another church. I was like, this is the one. We went to a few churches, but then we always came back here because it was like, this was the one. So he removed all of those blocks from my life. And the more that I grew in relationship with him, and the more that I got to know him, he started using me. He started using me, especially at work, because at work, I go to all of these job sites and I meet all of these different people. And I deal a lot with people coming straight from Mexico, and they're in this, man, I don't even want to call it Catholicism, because it's like a mixture of witchcraft and all this stuff. They got some messed up stuff going on in Mexico, and hearing their stories and seeing the stuff that they're into, man, and it was the Lord. He just showed me ways to talk to them and get through to them, and for them to receive His love and His grace and His mercy. But what he was talking about is, this was, I'd say, about 2 months ago, because this dude does not speak English at all, and they're drilling piers, and the auger broke off in the pier. And I hear in my spirit, the Lord says, step out in faith and talk to him. And I'm like, he doesn't even speak English. I want to do that. So I kind of was waiting, but then I see him lean over the pier hole, looking at the auger, and I see this Santa Muerte necklace dangling. So I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta go talk to him. So I just go up to him and start speaking in tongues. I'm just thinking, hopefully it gets translated. I'm stepping out in faith like you told me to. So he just looks at me. He's like, I don't speak English. I was like, I wasn't speaking in English. But so I ended up getting on Google Translate and started asking him questions about, like his necklace, what he believed in, where he came from. And well, long story short, he kind of told me, like, no. Well, we ended up getting a translator. And the crazy thing is, he didn't receive Jesus that day, but the translator did. So that was a Friday, and we're doing density shots that next Monday. And he comes up to me whenever we're done doing the shots, and he's on Google Translate, and he's like, how do I disarm her power? Because he's talking about the power of the angel of death, right? Because that's what he worships, right? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, how do I live the holy life? And I'm like, you want to give your life to Jesus? And he's like, yeah, see. I'm like, all right. I'm like, well, it's like, where's that necklace at? And he's like, he's in his car. I was like, go get the necklace. He got the necklace. I was like, so throw it down on the ground and stomp on it. And he's like, oh no. He started getting real nervous and stuff. And then finally, we kind of went back and forth. He was like, wait till after work, and we're going to throw it in the water. Boy, I'm saying what he said over translate. So he said, we're going to throw it in water. I'm thinking, like, we're not doing no holy water. Like, this isn't, that don't work. That's what I'm thinking. But it's on Google Translate. So I waited for him after work. My wife's like, he's going to try to kill you. He's crazy. I'm like, no, like, the Lord led me. This is not going to happen. So I wait for him. I follow him. There's like a lake pond thing over behind the job site. I didn't even know about it. He knew about it. We pull over on the side of the road, and he pops his trunk, and he has 3 of these Santa Muerte altars in the back of his truck, in his truck, and he grabs them all out, and he throws them all out into the lake. And then finally he's like, and the necklace, and then he throws the necklace out, and he renounces it all. And I just so happened to have a Spanish Bible. He received Jesus that day. And I just so happened to have a Spanish Bible in my truck.
There you go.
But the Lord took me from not even being able to talk, to people at all. I would literally ask, I had to be drunk to speak. Alcohol is what removed that barrier to where I felt like it made me be able to be myself. He removed that from me, and he actually allowed me to be myself without anything, I mean, was just him. You know, he actually allowed, he showed me who I was. And he made me more comfortable to where, man, I mean, what I was telling you, was it Tuesday? It was Tuesday. We had to go do Dempsey like in the middle of the street. Weird, just in the middle of a busy road. So I pulled over off of the side road because I was like, we're not gonna get hit by a car. And I see two dudes working on the car, and I'm just messing with them like, hey, it's the alternator. And he's like, yeah. But then he just he comes up to me, comes up to my truck, and the guy I'm training, his dad, actually is a pastor, so he knows the Lord. And we get to talking, and I'm like, so what do you do? Like, what do you do for work? And he's like, I don't work. I'm sick. Like, he's bald with those just scragglies, long scragglies, like coming out. He was like, I've been sick for a few months. Just a few weeks ago, I had a full head of hair. I'm losing all my hair. I keep on going to the hospital. The doctors are telling me there's nothing wrong. So, I kind of ask him what he believes in. I kind of go through the gospel with him. And he says pretty quick, yes, like, this is what I want. I want Jesus. So he receives Jesus. And then, the Lord kind of just let me know, I was to the spirit of infirmity. And we ended up praying for healing over him. This is what was crazy. Because I just pulled up to do Dempsey's, and this happened pretty quick. I ended up praying with him. The guy I was training was praying with him. And then we look across the street, and his dad's across the street praying with him.
Yeah.
So, the presence of the Lord is just so heavy on us. And, I can just go, he's opened up a lot of opportunities, but, yeah.
Awesome. So, you've talked so much about the delivering power of God. In a minute, share something with these guys that you want them to know personally about how God wants to do deliverance in each one of our lives.
Well, in a minute,
Something to encourage them
man, in a minute. So look, God all knows that we're all hurt and broken in our own way. God knows the struggles that we deal with. Because like I said, 15, I was already smoking ice. And it was pretty much a full life of drug addiction. And not a full life of witchcraft, but there is a lot for him to pull me out of. And like I said, he has his own way of speaking to every single one of us. Because I know a lot of people, especially nowadays, deal with anxiety, depression, all of these thoughts coming down on him. And he just wants us to all come to him and surrender this to him. And he wants to heal every single one of us. And he wants a relationship with us. That's what he desires most, is just for us to let him come into our heart and commune with us, have that relationship, heal us, lead us, and just help us grow into what he, for his glory.
Yeah. Amen. Man, that is so awesome, Cody. Y'all give Cody a hand. He has done a phenomenal job today. Cody, don't take off. One of the main things that he talked about, though, was a relationship with Jesus. I don't know everybody in this room. I don't know where everybody's at. But I want you to know that wherever you're at, God can make a change in your life, but we have to allow him to. Just like what Cody was talking about, he could have ran through the times that God put up those stop signs and say, nope, you need to listen here. He could have kept running through those and never seen any change in his life. Some of us have done that before, and we know that it's not good. But I'm just going to keep it real simple today. If you have never made Jesus Lord of your life, and today you are wanting to do it, I'm just going to ask you to stand up. Wherever you're at. We don't have to make it a long, drawn-out thing. But I want to give you that opportunity before you leave here today, because Cody has shared some amazing stories. But it wouldn't be without the power of Jesus, that relationship with him. Eddie, are you standing up back there? Awesome. Eddie, I'm so glad you're here. I don't think God brought you here by accident today. Y'all, if y'all will, go ahead and stand on up for me. And wherever you're